Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jack, this is Jthbooks, and I'm here today to give you some books to read because it's Pride Month. Today I thought I would give you some books to read this Pride Month. I know we're a little bit into June already. I'm a bit late, but if you've been here before, you just know I'm always late. I'm always behind. Give me like 2 weeks and I'll be there when I need to be. But you know, I'm going to be that, you know, I'm just not. Don't even have to phrase it because I just think not much way you can spruce up you being late all the time, is there? If you've been on this channel before, you know that I read a lot of queer non-fiction and fiction here, and I thought today I'd just give you some Pride recs, maybe just something that might take your fancy. I will confirm I have not read all of these. I don't think that particularly matters. I think as long as I can introduce it to you, if you like the sound of it, then you can read it. That's the whole point of reading. And then maybe you can tell me in the comments that you actually loved it and think I'd love it, and then I can read it sooner. So I own them all, so I plan to read them. But so we're going for that. We're going for ones that I have read, and there will be a few dotted in that I haven't. I just like to share books with you all. And what I've tried to do is break this down into categories. And there will be some crossovers, and I'll try and mention the crossovers, but I've tried to sort of break like 3 or 4 each for a couple of categories, just so we have a sort of I'm hoping, a wide range and a variety, that you're not like, Jack, this is boring. Please don't tell me if it is. Just be like, just give it a thumbs up. So to start off with, I have gone for debut novels that have been released this year. If you're like me, you like to sort of keep up with what's being released. You like to give new authors a chance, especially on their debuts, because sometimes you can love a debut and you are excited for the next book. And I think that's such a great gift to give yourself, you know, give you something to look forward to. We all need something to look forward to, that much I know. So I'm going to discuss like 4 or 5 of these with you, and I hope you like the sound of them, and hope you find a new favourite author from this, or one you think has potential. So let's get started. First up, we have Mongol by Hanako Futman. Now, this is the story of 3 Japanese women who, well, I will say only one perspective in this is queer, but it's good enough. It's good enough. I love this book. I'm so excited to see what Hanako Futman does next. It's the story of 3 interconnecting Japanese women and their woven timelines. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's so good. And it's such a beautifully queer perspective that I absolutely loved it. I think if you're looking for gorgeous writing and a debut, you will love this. Then we have Cinema Love by Jia Mintang. Now, I've spoken about this one on my channel before, but in this we follow Old Second and Bao Mei, who have emigrated to the US after growing up in China, where Old Second frequented and Bao Mei worked at the cinema club where Old Second cruised for men. It's so good. I can't believe how far it goes. It's beautifully written. I loved it. I really did love this book. It's such a strong debut that came out this year. Then we have Blessings by Chukwuebuka Ibe. Now, in this we follow a young boy who gets sent to boarding school after being caught with his family's apprentice, and it then details the story of his life and his journey to queerness, and I absolutely love it. It's such a beautifully written book, such a strong debut. I can't wait to see what the author does next. So if you're looking for a debut, I can recommend this one. Well, all of them, all 5 of these. Then we have The Emperor and the Endless Palace by Justinian Huang. Now, this is one I have not read, but I'm very excited to read. But if you're looking for a grand epic tale that has different timelines and they all interact and interwoven, I think you'll love this one. I'm so excited to read this one. And then we have Evenings and Weekends by Oshin McKenna. Now, I loved this book. In this we follow 4 perspectives over a heatwave in London, and there's also a whale. Need I say more? I think you'll love this if you love connecting stories. I think you'll love this if you love people searching for who they are and what they want in life. If you love familial stories, I think you'll really love this one. And it's a beautifully written debut. Now, something I don't feature on my channel very often, we are going for poetry. I know. But I know a lot of people love poetry, so why not give you some suggestions? I own them, so obviously want to read them, and I will be planning on reading them. But let's show you some poetry collections. First up, we have Them by Harry Josephine Giles. Now, this is a collection of poems about trans life as it is lived today. Then we have Limbic by Peter Scapello. Now, I have read this one. I love this collection. It has my favourite poem ever called Ode to Tracksuit. I think it's glorious. I love this collection. Then we have There Is Still Love Here by Dean Atter. Now, you're going to see Dean appear later on in this list, but I think he's a wonderful poet. I've read a few of his poems before. I'm so excited to get to this one. Then we have Pick Up Your Feelings by Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd is a friend of mine. I bought this because I wanted to support him, but I'm so excited to read it. I've heard people say such brilliant, brilliant things about his poetry. So if you're looking for a new poet, check it out. Now we have, if you're looking for some books that feature some Sapphic characters, some Sapphic love stories, I have 3 here that I really, really enjoyed, so I hope you'll love them too. First up, we have Mrs. S by Kay Patrick. Now, one of my absolute favourite books of last year. A story of a young woman who comes to work at a boarding school and ends up having an affair with the headmaster's wife. Such a unique, glorious writing style, really sharp. I loved it, I loved it. Full of queer desire, you'll love it. Then we have Experience by Kate Young. Now, in this we follow Bet, who has been going out with May, totally loving May. May wants to take a break and let Bet have some fun, sleep with some other people, and then they get back together. It's a rom-com. This is a classic rom-com. I think if you're looking for a rom-com, this is sort of the one I have on the list. It's fun, it's sweet, you know how it's going to end at the beginning, but you'll enjoy the ride. Then we have Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. Now, this could also come under the young adult section that's going to come up, or the historical fiction section that's going to come up. So you have a crossover here. But in this, we follow a young girl in the 1950s in San Francisco who is slowly realising that she likes women and venturing out to the bars for the first time. I love this book. I adore it. It's one of my favourite young adult books. It's one of my favourite Sapphic books, so I had to include it on this list. If you haven't read it, I think you'll love it. Then we have Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howard, absolutely one of my favourite books of last year, set in 1990s Ireland about a young schoolgirl who was brought up to think she's going to marry her best friend Martin, but then she falls for Susanna, the girl in school. So brilliant, captures first love so beautifully, so tenderly written. I adore this book. Now, if you're looking for short story collections, I have got some for you. Some I have not read, some I have read and absolutely love. So let's get started. First up, we have Lot by Brian Washington. Brian Washington is absolutely one of my favourite writers. Brilliant short stories in here. I liked how they all sort of connected. That really is my cup of tea. So if that's yours, you'll love it. But if not, you'll love the standalone stories. Just classic Brian Washington. I adore it. Then we have The Dreaming by Andre Bagou. Set in Trinidad, all about the lives of ordinary gay Trinidadian men. I cannot wait to read this one. It's a 5-star prediction for me. It's a 5-star prediction for me. Then we have one of my favourite books. Maybe it was 2002, you know. Time flies. Time flies, friends. It's God's Children Are Little Broken Things by Arinze Ifakundu. Short story collection set in Nigeria. I say this all the time. I think there's some brilliant queer fiction coming out of Nigeria. This is no exception. Fantastic short stories. I love this book so much. Now we'll talk about young adult books. I don't read much young adult books anymore, so I'm going to give you some that when I was reading them, I absolutely loved them. And there's one on here that I will recommend to everyone ever because I think it's genius. First up, we have The Black Flamingo by Dean Atter. I told you he was gonna appear again. I told you. In this, we follow Michael, who's a mixed race teen growing up and finding himself. I recommend this book to everyone all the time. I love it. I think it's genius. It's written in verse. It's beautifully written. It features some of Dean's glorious poetry. I just think this book is something really special. I really, truly do. Then we have A Little Bit Country by Brian D. Kennedy. Listen, you can tell he's wearing a fringe shirt. It's about country music. I love country music. This is the sort of young adult queer book of my dreams when I was like 16, 17. And it didn't disappoint. It's got a great romance. I love the country music setting. I love it. Then we have Flip the Script by Lila Lee. This again could come under the Sapphic one. Here we have a Sapphic story set in the world of K-dramas. If you love your K-dramas but are looking to add queerness to it, here we go. Perfect. Gets the lead in the new hot K-drama and falls in love with her female co-star. Perfect. It's about Darius, a Persian boy who spends his summer in Iran where he meets another boy and things fall on. Like I said, it's light on the queerness, but we'll get there. But I do love it. I think it's really worth a read. If you're looking for translated books, I have some brilliant ones for you. First up, we have Lie With Me by Philippe Besson, translated by Molly Ringwald. Yes, that Molly Ringwald. This could also come in the short book section we've got coming up, or just if you want to read like me. We've got a section coming up called that. I know, narcissist. I love this book. I love this book so much. It's one of my favorite books of all time. Set in the 1980s France, a look back at first love, glorious, a devastating ending that made me throw this book across the room, but I loved it. It's so glorious. Then we have Bad Habit by Alana S. Portero, translated by Mara Faye Leatham. Now, in this, we follow a young trans girl who is growing up in a poor town and finds the life she wants in Madrid. Oh, this is so brilliant. I can't think of a book that captures queerness this perfectly. So brilliant. This could also come under the section with trans stories at the front and centre. I love this book so much. This could also come under the debut books for this year. I just think this is a brilliant piece of work. Then we have Love in the Big City by Sang-Young Park, translated by Anton Her. Just a story of Young who is lost and lonely and trying to search for his life. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant piece of work, this one. I adore it. I loved it. Again, if you're looking for sort of K-drama vibes, this is actually coming out as a K-drama later in the year. So if you want to watch that, read this first. You know, you've always got to read the book first. And then we have An Orphan World by Giuseppe Caputo, translated by Joanna Adcock and Sophie Hughes. One I have not read, I've acquired recently, but set in a poverty-stricken town, when everyone starts to leave, a father and son decide to stay. I'm so excited for this book, but I just wanted to highlight it because it's another translated fiction. I really love translated fiction. I think there's some brilliant books. I've just highlighted some. There's going to be many more, so... Now let's talk about some non-fiction books. First up, we have 3,000 Kisses, Tales of Queer Love from the Ancient World. If you like your mythology, if you like ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, here we go. And this book has pictures. It has illustrations in. So, an anthology here for you to check out. Then we have A Trans Man Walks into a Gay Bar, A Journey of Self and Sexual Discovery by Harry Nicholas. Again, this could also come into the section of trans stories at the front and centre. Such a brilliant piece of non-fiction. It's really funny, it's really heartbreaking, it's really heartwarming, it's really sexy. I'm a huge fan of Harry's and I really enjoyed this piece of non-fiction. Then we have This Arab is Queer, an anthology by LGBTQ Arab writers, edited by Elias Jansen. I love this book. I think it's so underrated, so underlooked. Just read this one. Just read this one. I loved every story in it, and you don't often find that, but I really did. And then if you're looking for a big old book to sink your teeth into, we have Queer, LGBTQ writing from ancient times to yesterday, edited by Frank Wynne. Just hit my head. It nearly knocked me out. Look at the size of it. And here's just a few of the people you can read from. Just brilliant. I love that we have books like this now. Then, if you're looking for stories with trans characters as the main characters, shall we say, we have Detransition Baby by Tori Peters, one of my favourite books of last year. I absolutely loved it. In this, we follow Reese, who after breaking up with her girlfriend, everything goes a bit wrong. She gets the chance she never thought she had, which is to be a mother. Brilliantly written, so honest, so blunt. I really loved it. Then we have Bellies by Nicola Dinnan. In this, we follow two university students who meet at university, and then one of them decides to transition, and it follows their lives and their journeys. Brilliant book, brilliant. It just makes you think, it makes you want to cry. I loved it. And again, I will just mention Bad Habits because I love this book. It has a trans character at the centre. Oh, I love it. Then we're going on to the fantasy books. Now, I'm not a big fantasy reader, but I thought I'd give you some options anyway. You might like the sound of these. And I haven't even read one of them, but I am going to soon. So, let's try. First up, we have Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. There is also a prequel to this, which is also queer. This could also come into the Sapphic section, if you're looking for a Sapphic fantasy. A big book, but totally worth it. If you're looking for a political fantasy that follows many perspectives, this is the one for you. I just loved it. I really loved it. It was in my top 10 books of the year when I read it, which maybe was 2022, I think. God, that's a long time ago. Time flies. Then we have A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexander Rowland. This is about a prince falling in love with his bodyguard. And it is a fantasy, but it's very light fantasy. There's not much. So if you're just looking to dip your toe in, if you're looking for a queer fantasy that you want to read, but you're not sure fantasy your thing, I would suggest this one because it's very light. You just get like a sprinkling of it, but mainly you get a good romance. Then we have Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. Now, in this, we follow a coven Are you surprised? That protects crown and country from evil magical forces. I mean, classic fantasy there, but with a queer twist. And it already has a sequel out and it has a prequel coming out. So if you are interested in this one, and then you're going to be fed. You'll be fed for a long time because you've got another 2 books in the series to read. Now, if you're a historical fiction lover like me but want that queer twist, I have 3 options for you. First up, we have The New Life by Tom Crew, which is a story of 2 men who are writing a book about the naturalness of homosexuality, but it all gets derailed when Oscar Wilde gets arrested. So, historical fiction, queerness, very, very sexy and sexual. I loved it. I didn't think I was going to love it as much as I did, and I really loved it. It became my personality for a while, so just great. I loved it. Now, this next book you probably would have heard of because it sort of swept the nation. I mean, there's no way to say it. It's a prize winner. People love it. It is In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. Now, in this we follow Grant and Elwood as they are in boarding school, realising they're sort of in love with each other, and then they go off to fight in World War One. I mean, will absolutely break your heart. I think it's really brilliant. I loved it. And it was a debut last year, so. And then we have The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. Now, this is set on a plantation in the Deep South, and it's about 2 young slaves falling in love before they even knew what it was called. Now, slavery, it's not a great period of time to read about, let's be honest, but this is a great, great book. So beautifully written, gorgeous, will break your heart. I adore this book. Now, if you don't have much time to read or you're looking to get into queer fiction, but you're just not sure about your attention span or anything like that, I have 4 short books here for you. I consider a book under 200 pages to be short, that I think will keep you really interested and you'll really enjoy. First up, we have Boulder by Eva Beltesart, translated by Julia Sanchez. This could also come in translated fiction or come in under the Sapphic books. Such a brilliant book, and there is 2 sequels to it. So if you really love it, you can just keep reading short books with the same characters. I cannot wait to read the second one, but I love this one. Then we have Open Throat by Henry Hoke. Came out last year, sort of was a massive, massive hit. You may have even heard of this one before. And it is about a queer mountain lion who must decide whether he wants to be a human or eat a human. I loved it. Incredibly pacey. Really makes you think. I really adored this book. Then we have One Last Song by Nathan Evans, which is a story of 2 older gentlemen who fall in love when they end up in the same nursing home. I love this book. I love this book. It's sort of like Grumpy Sunshine. It's sweet. It's cute. It'll make you cry. It will make you cry at the end, but it's a short book which I think will really keep you gripped. Then we have A Minor Chorus, a novel by Billy Ray Belcourt. I have not read this one yet, but I wanted to include it because I'm very, very excited for it. It's about a queer Indigenous student who steps away from dissertation to write a novel. So, books about books, if you love that too, but I'm very, very excited for this one. Then we have What Belongs to You by Garth Grimmer. I had to include Garth Grimmer on this list somewhere. I adore him. I think he's brilliant. I cannot wait for his new book to come out. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this one. It's a short book. I just loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Loved it. It beautifully captures loneliness and queerness, and I adore it. And then to wrap up, we just have books if you want to read like me. Just books that I just purely, purely love. First up, we have Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Could also come under short books, but this is a story of 2 young men who have an affair in Paris. It could also come under historical fiction as well, I guess, but just glorious. The chances are you've probably already read this, already heard of it, but if you haven't read it and you're thinking about it, this is your sign to do it. I adore this book. Then we have Family Meal by Brian Washington. He's already appeared on this list. He had to appear again. I adore him. He's one of my favourite authors. This is the story of Cam, who moves back home after his boyfriend died. I love this book. I just think it's so, so good. I think Brian Washington is a genius. And then lastly, the book I probably first spoke about on my booktube channel, it is Here Again Now by Ukechukwu Nzalu, a book that does not get enough love. This is a story of 2 British Nigerian men who can't quite admit their feelings for each other after a devastating act. They never get the chance. It deals with grief. It deals with masculinity and toxic masculinity. I love it. I think this book deserves so much more love. I try and shout out whenever I get the chance. So yeah, just read it. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found a book here that you are intrigued by and you want to read. You just want to pick up one book for Pride Month. Of course, read queer books all year round. But let me know. Let me know if you have a book you want me to read. Let me know if you're interested in any of these. Let me know if you've read any. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'm going to speak to you all really, really soon.